Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of my City Council colleagues and 58,000 residents of Dubuque, I'm pleased to welcome Dubuque EPA Regional 7 Administrator Jim Gulliford and his Kansas City team of federal partners, including Stan Walker, Director of Brownfields, Ashley Murdy, Public Affairs Specialist, and Project Managers Jonathan Harrington and Charlie Foley. We also welcome Iowa Department of Natural Resources Brownfields Executive Officer Mel Pins. As I've stated on so many occasions over my 14-year tenure as mayor, partnerships are Dubuque's secret sauce. People, planning, and partnerships is the city's mantra, representing essential ingredients in our work to create a more viable, livable, and equitable community for our residents and future generations. More than any other federal agency, the Environmental Protection Agency has been our constant partner in the revitalization of Dubuque. Reclaiming the urban core of any heritage river town in America includes the discovery and cleanup of former industrial sites. From the original $50,000 Brownfields cleanup grant in 2000 for the Port of Dubuque to brownfield assessment work here in the Schmidt Innovation Center, as well as at our Steeple Square campus, the Voices building across the street, and many other sites, the Brownfield area-wide planning, assessment, and cleanup grants have made a transformational difference in Dubuque. So let us give a warm welcome to Jim Gulliford, the Region 7 Administrator, and our extended Dubuque Partnership team.
Well, thank you, Mayor, and your team. It's exactly what you say. Partnership is what makes programs like this work. It's not what one unit of government does, but what everybody looks and finds a way to make a difference and add value to it. And certainly here in Dubuque, probably as well as anywhere in the country, we see that success just continuing to grow upon itself. So once the critical mass was reached, you know, there was just no stopping you folks, and we're delighted to be here with you as well. So your whole team and Mel, I just say about Mel that, you know, this program nationally as it's established, it requires a state commitment as well. And the DNR has done just a great job, and Mel's been just a wonderful partner with us as well. So we all work for you folks. That's kind of what we're here for, again. And so when you folks win, we win, and we celebrate with you. As you said, Dubuque, I've been going through Dubuque for a long time. I grew up west of Chicago, and my folks farmed in northwest Iowa when they were kids, and we would go back and forth to their old farm, and we'd always come through Dubuque, and it wasn't the halfway point, but we told ourselves it was. and I've never been down on Main Street or what used to be the Main Street, but there was an ice cream place there that we stopped in quite often, and again, that was, I won't tell you what years that was in. That was about a long, long time ago. And we know the history here as well. Once one of the first great cities in the state of Iowa, as westward expansion moved across the Mississippi River, a great history of industry and commercial work and economic development, and things took a turn for the worse. And in many places, that's the sign of the end, but it wasn't the sign of the end here in Dubuque. And so you folks turned around and looked for opportunities to revitalize your community, and we were a small part of that. And today, like we've been here before to do, my boss, EPA Administrator Andrew Wheeler, has signed grants, or announced the grants, if you will, of nearly $65 million of brownfield redevelopment work across the country, and an $800,000 grant for the city of Dubuque. So you are the successful model for us. Yes. Those are all competitive, and my team will tell you that it's just a fine line between those that get the grants and those that don't, because this is a high demand program across the country. So you folks are doing it right, and I'm an Iowan, but there's no home cooking. You folks earn these opportunities, because it's not just, you're not earning dollars, you're earning opportunities, the way we look at it. And this is a unique kind of a grant, because this is one of our flexibility grants, the purpose is to give you more flexibility. You've proven that you know how to make these programs work. And, you know, no one ever says anything bad about getting a Brownfields grant, but you also hear flexibility. Maybe we could do something different, or how can we, you folks are going to have that opportunity here to work in the Southport, the Washington, and the North End neighborhoods. So all of those formerly mixed areas with commercial and previously industrial work, and an opportunity to, again, add value in your community, or opportunity. You know, opportunity zones are a priority for this administration. And I'll tell you just an anecdote. Jason Moore is my counterpart in HUD, also in Kansas City area, and he showed up at my house Monday night, just this past Monday night, knocked on the door, made me set back dinner over an hour. But he and I started talking about opportunity zones, because we have some leadership responsibilities in our 4 states for that. And we talked about, you know, where successes are and what can be done. And I said to him, you know, I'm going up to Dubuque Wednesday, and he said, make sure you say hi to the mayor. HUD has been a partner with you folks as well. And so we had a good story, because we started talking in general, and the first community we both talked about was Dubuque. So again, you have a partner in Jason and HUD as well. We want to work in these opportunity zones because the local people have identified value that needs to be reestablished in these areas. The purpose of them is what can we contribute, what can communities do to attract capital into economically underperforming areas, to boost business investment, in other words, private sector investment in our communities, to stimulate real estate development, those types of activities, and any type of vertical construction, how we rebuild and reshape our communities. And what's most important is they bring opportunity, and that they bring jobs into our communities. And brownfield sites and brownfield work can be at the base of some of this, doing some of the assessment work that needs to be done to assure people that they know what they're getting into when they start working and redeveloping one of these properties. We don't want, our goal is not to find surprises, and they don't want surprises that are going to cost them money. So some of the work that we can do helps in that area. We refer to, this is a showcase community obviously for us, and you've proven that over time, coming to our annual meetings for Brownfields and providing your story there, hosting your own development meetings in your own community. I have to tell you, where I go and where I talk, I just call Dubuque the gold standard for Brownfields development work. So while it started years ago with a, like you say, a small grant, it's paid off multiple times. And my staff told me they didn't want to overestimate that, you know, the little bit of, obviously we don't take credit for everything that's happened, but some of the starting money that we put in, you folks have leveraged that to over $500 million of investment in your community. And that's the way Congress envisioned this program working, is that the federal government would be of help, and we would get out of the way and just let you folks go. So looking at this year, this is our 12th year working with you here in Dubuque. And again, you folks are not only, you have a vision for what you want to accomplish, and it's a vision that includes innovation and new ideas for transforming the community, not rebuilding it in its old image, but the new image that you want Dubuque to be, and all the things that will support. So again, it's our pleasure to support the community of Dubuque, Mayor, all of your team. And like I said, we work for you from Mel's work. Mel has received an EPA award for some of his work, as the community of Dubuque. And I want to say again, thank my staff, because I get to stand up here and brag about the things that you do, but I can also brag about the things that they do. They work for you. And as I said, nothing makes them happier than to see folks like you folks successful. So again, congratulations to all of you. Just a great day to be in Dubuque, and what a beautiful day outside. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Jim, for those kind comments. We're extremely grateful and excited to receive this grant, and we will do good things with it. These funds will enable us to revitalize areas across the community, including potential sites in the Southport, Washington neighborhood, and Dubuque's North End. These opportunities will restore downtown assets, create jobs and housing, and bring new life to individual properties as well as neighborhoods. This is indeed welcome news for Dubuque, and we also have a special guest from the state of Iowa here today. Please welcome Mel Pins, Executive Director of the Department of Natural Resources Iowa Brownfield Redevelopment Program, to say a few words. Mel? Thank you.
On behalf of the Iowa Department of Natural Resources, it really is an honor to be here today. All the comments that Mayor Buol have made and Regional Administrator Gulliford have made are about partnerships and moving public policy forward, moving communities forward. And while we didn't coordinate on our remarks, I really do want to reinforce the partnerships and with everybody who's here in this room. I'm our statewide manager for the Iowa Brownfield Redevelopment Program at the DNR. And this program only came to be because of an EPA grant and delegated funding from the US EPA. So we always thank EPA for the support they give us. We would not be able to do this without their support. But when we look at brownfields, we toss the name around quite regularly. Some people aren't familiar with brownfields, many in this room are. But brownfields are generally described as, could be a former industrial site, a major factory. It could be the smallest thing in the smallest town in Iowa or the Midwest, a closed gas station, or perhaps an agricultural chemical dealership site, even an old building full of asbestos. Brownfields have a reputation that they're either contaminated, or they're dirty, they're dingy, they need polish. So developers usually don't like to tackle sites like that. They don't like government regulations. They don't like extra cost and delay. So brownfields can sit and become obstacles in a community. But Dubuque has proven time and time again that brownfields are not an obstacle in Dubuque, Iowa. They are an opportunity. And to be able to turn that looking glass around and look at it from that perspective is not only something unique that Dubuque has done in the past, they continue to do it again and again. You're not just a success for yourself as your community, you are an example within the state of Iowa, and frankly, you're an example nationally. Your own sustainability conference, now in its 12th or 13th year, nationally known. But when we look at partnerships, and those of you who know me know that I like to tell quick stories. So I'm gonna tell you a real quick one here. So it goes back to Dave Lyons. I've been in state government for over 23 years now, and Dave is an innovator in state government, and he's been an innovator in working with state government in different positions he's had. So when Dave Lyons calls, I'm all ears to listen. And Dave never has small ideas, much like Daniel Burnham, who the famous architect, father of urban planning from 100 years ago, make no small plans. Dubuque does not. That's from the mayor to the council to the staff on down. And Dave called me one day, this was 10 years ago, and he says, Mel, we have an old closed landfill site. It's the A.Y. McDonald Foundry Sand Landfill. I'm like, yep, know right where that's at. A.Y. McDonald, great historic company. I have a ball valve in my water shutoff in the basement, A.Y. McDonald. Hasn't failed in 25 years. But I knew right where that was. And there were many industries that used to have industrial landfills on their property. There was nothing illegal about that. But the EPA wanted to make sure that that waste stayed in place and that it was environmentally protective, both for not just the natural environment, but for citizens. So A.Y. McDonald worked with the EPA. They put a covenant on the property. They had a permanent cap. They did 30 years of monitoring. And there were no releases from that landfill, and that monitoring ended. But Dave said, Mel, we've got this 6 acres sitting here with grass on it. We got to keep this cap. What can we do with it? Can we build housing on it? No. Can't have basements, can't have intrusions into the cap, sorry. Year would go by, Dave would call back, Mel, can we build this industry there? No, probably can't do that. But Dave called one day and says, Mel, what about a solar array? Could we do that? And I said, wait a minute. We think about this. EPA is really trying to get solar sites placed on formerly contaminated sites or closed landfills. They call it the repowering initiative. And I'm generally familiar with some solar things, and I said, now we can't penetrate that cap. The covenant must be in place. I said, Dave, could you design this where the solar panels sit on the property? And he says, I think we can. So we worked together initially, then brought forward to EPA, here's a way we can get this site reused, and we can be protective of human health and the environment. We can maintain that covenant that A.Y. McDonald was still responsible for. And in less than 6 months, I think sitting in this room, public and private folks, from the federal EPA, us at DNR, right down here to the community and even the business level, came up with that plan, and in less than 2 years, we've got a 6-acre solar array generating enough electricity for, I think, somewhere close to 100 homes. So when Dave Lyons calls, I usually listen. But the same goes for all of Dubuque, staff in engineering, in planning, in community development. You're doing so many good things, and I'm so pleased to be a very small part of that personally. My name is Pins. I am not from Dubuque. I was born and raised in Des Moines, lived in Warren County, but my mom and dad are both from western Dubuque County, and all my ancestors are from Dubuque. So anytime I can come here and see the difference you've made, the leaders you are, I'm just so proud of you. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mel, again for those kind words. And in addition to our federal and state partners, our local partners continue to make things happen for the residents of Dubuque. Greater Dubuque Development Corporation Sustainable Innovation Consultant Dave Lyons has been working with city staff to explore the possibilities of the new Federal Opportunity Zones program. This multi-purpose brownfields grant can potentially leverage this program with additional investment and tax benefits for investors. Here to describe the Federal Opportunity Zone program is Dave Lyons.
While Randy sets this up, I do want to go back to Mel and note that he did turn me down 5 times.
Your persistence paid off.
The 6th was worth it.
At the beginning.
Thank you. Again, here at Greater Dubuque Development Corporation, our job is to work with the public and the private sector, our state, local, and national partners to find ways to achieve the mayor and the city council's vision of an economically growing, environmentally improving, and equitably viable community. So one of the things that happens is when challenges arise or opportunities arise, we try to put some work on the front end. We're extremely excited to be able to look at the flexibility that comes with this new type of grant from the EPA because it fits so well with what we're trying to develop as a strategy for opportunity zones here in Dubuque. And as you can tell from the map, just to my left here, we have a tremendous overlap between our brownfield opportunities and our opportunity zones. More than 90% of our brownfield sites are located in the opportunity zones, some of them already revamped, some of them under reconstruction, and some of them just being envisioned. But again, the question that was brought to us is, can the EPA Brownfield Assistance enhance a smaller community's chances of successfully attracting opportunity zone investment? Most of the attention is being paid to the larger communities, but I think there is, Administrator Gulliford, an opportunity here. I think the answer comes because it can cost-effectively remove early barriers, barriers that are particularly difficult for smaller communities. And again, even though they're not large amounts of money for we spend on an individual site with brownfields, it opens the door. So again, we have a great overlap between the opportunity zone areas for Dubuque and the existing brownfield opportunities. For background purposes, in late 2017, in the Tax Act that was passed, there was opportunity zone legislation which provides a tax benefit for people to be considering investments in opportunity zones which are, by their definition and nature, distressed or disadvantaged opportunities. In 2018, the states began the process, and the state of Iowa began the process of identifying and nominating its enterprise zone areas within the state. The City of Dubuque, as always, rolled up its sleeves and said, if there is an opportunity here, let's figure out how we can apply it locally. We were, in fact, able to make an application to and be accepted through the state and the federal level for opportunity zone designations in 2 of our census tracts. And as you can see, both from the map to my left and on the board, this includes almost all of the riverfront, the old industrial downtown, and the historic workforce living areas of the community on the north side. So if you talk about being able to target brownfield to opportunity zone to the heart of a community, it's spot on here in Dubuque. Again, in the simplest way to think about it, opportunity zone program is going to talk to taxpayers who have capital gains that they are going to have to pay and ask them, wouldn't they prefer to take those capital gains, invest them into an opportunity fund, which is redeveloping properties and businesses in opportunity zones. And if you do think outside the box as an investor and make that investment, the rewards can be significant. You can see a tax deferral of up to 10 years. You can see an increase in your basis or an exclusion of a portion of the capital gains you owed as much as 15%. And in that investment you make in the opportunity zone, any increase in capital that you see from that investment is free of capital gains after it's done. So deferral, exclusion, and elimination. Now that has a lot of ring for investors across the country, as there are trillions of dollars of built-up capital which are looking for a place to implement within the country. Now, again, most people are looking to places like Phoenix and New York and New Jersey and Chicago because there are dense populations, there are large amounts of urban redevelopment dollars and infrastructure dollars going in. But we think there's a place for smaller communities like Dubuque. As we've begun looking at it, we've looked at a number of different strategies and to a certain extent are using all of them here in Dubuque. The first one is to use infrastructure investments to de-risk potential opportunity zone investments. I don't think you can find a better example of de-risking an opportunity zone than the B branch, which is basically eliminating historic flooding, re-establishing a walkable, livable, viable community, and re-establishing investment in the oldest portions of a community. So that's a way for somebody to look at an opportunity zone and to say, you know, I don't mind taking a bet on a place where the community and the federal government have already put down several $100 million in infrastructure. The second is specialization or niche development. For us, it's a bit in the historical redevelopment area because we have such a nice set of historical relevant buildings here. We're a little small for niching around industry, but it is an opportunity for us to talk with very specific opportunity zones. One that we have had a conversation with relates specifically to investments in renewable energy. And they're really impressed by the fact that Dubuque, even a community of its size, has the largest solar opportunity in Iowa, has the largest renewable natural gas opportunity in Iowa, and several other attributes. The one we're focusing on most, Administrator, is making it easier. It's not a simple process to understand how to develop a multi-million-dollar project and to do it on a brownfield and with a new Opportunity Zone tax credit program can be complicated and people might shy away. What we're doing here is we're pre-packaging a type of local assistance that can be available, tax increment financing, facade redevelopment, things that this community is awesome at. Making those upfront benefits available to Opportunity Zone projects, and then working through the city's Economic Development Office for a one-stop shop so that no matter who calls, we all work. And the theory is if we can make it faster and easier and lower cost to look at a project in Dubuque, we might be able to, punch above our weight, as so they say in the country. So I think the answer from where we're at, again, this is very early. As you know, there aren't any Opportunity Zone projects which have been launched in the Midwest quite yet. There are some under development. I think the answer to your question is yes. If we can use proactive rehabilitation of these brownfield sites, I think it could open the door to opportunity zone consideration and investment. And being able to use your funding in a flexible way allows us to pre-package that type of support along with all of the existing local community support and remove the barriers. So I hope that was responsive.
Well, thank you, Dave. And as I said, this is indeed a great day for the City of Dubuque. We want to thank all of our special guests for traveling here to bring us this welcome news today from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Iowa Department of Natural Resources.